white stock. We're going to use chicken carcasses for this. We have 3 gallons of cold water, some ingredients for a sachet, which we'll tie with twine. Mirepoix is 50% onions, 25 carrots, 25 celery. So these are the backs and necks of chickens, which have a lot of connective tissue, a lot of collagen. They're good for stock making. Those go right into the stock pot. And this is cold water. You always want to start your stock with cold water so that you don't bring out any impurities in the bones that you're using right from the start. White stock can be made with beef bones or any bones really. Three gallons of water. It's 1 gallon of water per every 5 pounds of bones as a general rule in making stock. So we're going to tie up a sachet of seasoning ingredients here. Classical white stock sachet has the parsley. Usually just use up the stems. A couple of bay leaves. About a tablespoon of thyme. And about a tablespoon of crushed black peppercorn. Not ground pepper, because obviously that would just go right through the sachet and into your stock. So those are just whole peppercorns that have been crushed. You bring up the edges. We'll tie it off with a piece of kitchen twine. We have this longer piece here that we could tie to the handle of the stock pot. So this has been brought up to a simmer. You can see a lot of what's commonly referred to as scum floating on top of the stock. You can skim off all of the impurities and discard those using the same technique you would use for skimming the milk solids off of clarified butter. You'll do this fairly frequently. As this stock simmers, it'll continue to build up a foam on the top that you don't want to have in your finished product. You never want to boil your stock. If you boil your stock, it'll agitate it and you'll end up with a cloudy product. So a real low simmer is what you're looking for. This is going to need to simmer for at least 8 hours. It's not uncommon to let a stock pot go overnight. So you'll just continue to skim off this foam as it builds up on the top, being sure that you don't stir your stock or agitate it too much. So now that it's been brought up to a simmer and we've skimmed off that initial foam that's built up, we can go ahead and add our mirepoix. This is 2 pounds for every gallon of water and every 5 pounds of bones. So we add that and the sachet after the first skimming of the foam. Tie this to the handle so it can be easily removed when it comes time to strain this. And then we'll just let that go at a low simmer overnight, or for at least 8 hours. So this has went for an entire night. I've already removed the sachet. What we have here is a China cap, which is just a standard strainer with smallish holes, and a chinois, which is a fine mesh strainer. You could also strain through a couple layers of cheesecloth, but I find if you've strained it multiple times through a chinois is finer than cheesecloth anyway, so I find if you've strained it multiple times, cheesecloth isn't extremely necessary. So the handles are hot because this has been simmering overnight. Strain it once through the China cap, and that'll catch all the large particulate, all the vegetables and bones that may fall through. Be very careful when doing this. So that stuff can just be discarded. So you've got it strained one time. It probably will still have a lot of stuff floating around in it. The China cap doesn't catch everything, just the large stuff. You could strain this 5-6 times if you wanted to, depending on how clear you need your stock to be for the applications in your kitchen. Here's the fat cap. That's all the rendered fat from the chicken carcasses. And that, when chilled, will seal the surface of the stock. Strain this one more time through a chinois or a fine mesh strainer. You can see that it's catching a lot already. So you'll want to chill the stock rapidly. You'll want to get it down to a safe temperature. One of the ways to do that is in an ice bath. We also have an ice wand that you can insert down into the stock to cool it down even faster. This has a very large fat cap on it. So here's the ice wand. You just stick that down in it. It's just a plastic container with frozen water in it. It's much like chilling a beverage with ice cubes. And to cool it down even faster, we'll put it in a sink full of ice water. You'll want it to be ice water to increase the surface area touching the sides of the container. Once this is chilled, you can easily remove the fat cap as a solid piece. White stock, chicken to be exact.